When I took the Datura, I had only heard about it a few days before. Some of my friends had eaten the root and felt no effects at a couple of days before. Me and my few friends went on a road trip, and we brought the Datura root that we had left to try to sell. 5 of us went on the trip. On one particular day, Ryan, one of my friends, got arrested for shoplifting. The rest of us went on without him. That night we parked somewhere by the beach to get some sleep. John and Shauna, in the front, went right to sleep, but me and Daniel couldn't sleep. At around 3 o'clock in the morning, Daniel asked me if I wanted to eat the Datura. I said sure. We each had about the same amount. We weren't sure if anything was going to happen because of when they had eaten it a few days before and nothing happened. The taste of the Datura root was very bitter. We washed it down with water. Then we started talking about how we thought that it was going to affect us. Sure enough, it did. It took, I'd say, about 15 minutes, but then again, I'm not a very good judge of time. The first thing I noticed was that my hands seemed very large and fat. I was studying my hands and then all of a sudden they became covered with black cuts. Then I knew I was tripping. I started tripping really hard and I thought I had taken too much. All of the pains in my body were greatly exaggerated. I had had a headache and stomachache when I took it. My mouth was so dry I could barely talk. I had to take a drink of water but I could barely lift the water bottle. It was really hard to move at all. Everywhere I looked I saw hallucinations. I had to puke, so I tried to open the car door but it was really hard. I finally found the door handle but the door was locked. So I reached up to unlock the door but my hand went through the lock. I tried a couple more times and finally got it. I dry heaved outside with the top part of my body hanging out of the car. I thought I was ODing. Shauna kept asking me if I was alright but I couldn't answer her. I don't remember this but she said that I kept hanging out of the car and then I would get back in and leave the door open. She said that she had to keep closing it. After I was done puking, all my pain was gone. I thought I was in a log cabin with my grandma. I kept seeing people peeking in the windows. I kept waking up Shauna and John with my screaming about people peeking in the windows. This kept happening but all the people ended up being my friends, so I started having conversations with them. I even talked to Ryan, who was in juvenile hall that night. Me and Daniel both kept thinking the car was rolling back and forth. Once I woke up John and Shauna screaming, "Stop, the car's rolling forward, we're going to hit the wall." They told me that the car was not rolling and there was no wall. I guess me and Daniel just spent all the night talking to people who weren't there. In the morning around the area we were in, a lot of people go jogging in the morning. I saw one old lady approaching the car. I thought she was Ryan, so I jumped out of the car and started running towards her yelling Ryan's name because I thought he had gotten out of juvie and had found us. When I got close I realized it was an old lady, so I got back in the car. We sat there for a long time. I think I was kind of half asleep or something. I was kind of just not there. I kept thinking that Daniel and Ryan had gone to pick mushrooms, but Daniel was sitting right next to me and Ryan was far, far away. I kept asking Shauna when they would get back from picking mushrooms and she told me they weren't picking mushrooms and I would say, "Oh yeah," and then forget and ask her again. All that day, mine and Daniel's vision were fucked up. We couldn't read anything. After we left our spot by the beach I kept hearing voices but I no longer saw the people to accompany them. At first I kept thinking that Shauna was talking to me but she wasn't really saying anything. All that day me and Daniel still hallucinated a little, like seeing faces in the dirt and the mountains. We also could not remember worth shit. We would be talking and then be like, wait, what the fuck were we talking about? Well, that night we got a good night's rest and the next day we thought we were perfectly sober. Daniel, John and I went that day to go pick up Ryan from juvie because he had gotten out. It was late at night by the time we were getting back and we made a stop at Daniel's grandparents' house. We were considering staying there for the night, except I would have to sleep in a room by myself because I was the only girl. Well, we were sitting in the living room talking to Daniel's uncle and then I started to trip again. At first I thought I would be okay but then it got worse. I asked Ryan to come outside with me so I could tell him that I was starting to trip again. By the time I got outside my legs were so wobbly I could barely walk. Daniel came outside to see what was going on and I told him I was starting to trip again and he said he was too. Ryan had to help me get to the car. Soon after we left Daniel's grandparents. Laying down helped make my tripping stop. Daniel tripped for a little bit longer. He had to puke out of the window of the car. Ryan asked him if he wanted Pepsi to wash his mouth out and Daniel was just like, huh. He had forgotten what Pepsi was. I started to trip more later that night. After it went away though it didn't come back. So the effects for me and Daniel lasted about 3 days.